So yeah, I think we'll move over to a couple questions that we have from the audience, and then we'll wrap things up and let you guys get back to your Mardi Gras celebrations or the rest of your business day. But first question that came in, what are the group's thoughts on the current management systems such as Epic and Vertafore, and how the landscape will change for independent agents as new technology competes with legacy systems? Any volunteers to go first?
This is a potentially hot one.
Yeah.
I can probably answer this, but the most benignly.
Maybe around just kind of in general around current management systems and maybe what you guys are looking for.
I think that, well, first of all, if you're starting in insurtech, I think you should really understand the agency management and probably the policy administration feature sets, like to Jen's point on curiosity, like really become product experts on what capabilities they're driving for enterprises and who the buyers are. And like, again, even if you're just starting an MGA, a tech MGA, I think these things just are the infrastructure of the market. On this one, I can speak, Epic and Vertafore are everywhere. They're, I don't know off the top of my head, but probably more than 50% market share between the two of them, if not more than that. And they evolve by acquiring, at least that's conventional wisdom on them. And so they're great acquirers, and they can identify great businesses and great features that they should integrate. So I suspect that will continue to happen. And I see this a lot in small commercial, where that is, to John's point, it's not something that most agencies want to go after because it can be unprofitable. So the ones that do it very well have a very particular take on it. Some of these AMSs have not delivered like the market access solutions or piece of those that small commercial necessitates. And that's a big opportunity for companies like PathPoint, but many others. And we're not even a management system. We're just offering access points. So I would say that these are very complex, huge pieces of software. They power a ton of the market. So it's hard to make general things. My general view is that they will innovate through acquisition. Many great companies do that. That's not a knock against them. And so I think keeping tabs on what they're doing there would be the best way to think about how they're serving their clients or what opportunities they're seeing.
Thanks for fielding that one. Any other thoughts from John or Jen?
I'll mention briefly. I mean, I think I have more experience in policy administration systems, less on agency management systems, although some involvement there. I think I don't. The age-old question is, do you build or buy? And I think the answer is it depends. So probably unsatisfying, but it really depends on what you're trying to do, what unique features you really need. What I can say is, based on several experiences or having gone through this, if you do build, having expertise and somebody who's been around a policy admin system or agency management system is important. And I think the three most likely mistakes people make when they try to build their own: one, they underappreciate the importance of the policy data taxonomy and getting that right up front. Two, they don't understand the complexity of versioning and the fact that you need different versions by state, et cetera. And then the last is just the ability to make changes to policies and have all the necessary downstream impacts completed in an automated way. So I've seen this a couple of times. These mistakes almost always come up when you try to build it yourself. So the more you're out in front of those, the better.
Thanks for that. Last question, just kind of a brief last thought, and we'll let you guys get back to your day. Jen, maybe how do you think about, especially in post-pandemic, building the culture and acquiring the talent in your startup and in technology, where maybe people won't be as attracted to insurance, right? So how do you put forward to like acquiring those talent and really for your industry and creating that culture?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually were talking about that in a welcome meeting yesterday with some new hires. Interestingly enough, what we found, and I'd be curious for Alex and John in this space as well, is that insurance, I think on the surface, you're sort of like, okay, insurance. And then the more you learn about it, there's so many interesting, challenging problems that if that's what gets you excited about, your brain ticking of solving something that is not straightforward and that is kind of at the edge of what you're going to push on, that's really going to challenge you, then insurance is a really exciting space to be in. And I'd say 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we were starting, it was more that first wave. So definitely did a lot of, okay, I said insurance, before you run away, let me describe 3 or 4 really interesting problems. Like, does that problem interest you? Like, and so I did that a lot and still do, because I think they are very interesting problems. And there are plenty of folks who really want to go and solve those, amazingly talented product engineering and go to market, right? Of let's carve out a new space. We are a new player and in this space. And so to the question before, I think we're bringing more opportunity to people to make different decisions, which will also, I think make a more competitive landscape, which is exciting. So that's what I did. I am a big believer that, I was in fintech before this. Like, if you're interested in how the world works and this thing that you've never inquired about, that is actually a really important part of your life, if you want to learn more about it, like, we're a great place to do that. And if you want to solve some problems that the industry has, like, we're a great place to do that as well. And if you want to run away at the name insurance, that's cool too. Eventually we might convince you it's a pretty neat place to be. But that's a lot of what we thought about, is making sure that we're really talking about the problems that are there that we have the ability to move forward on. And then just a culture of how do we think about problem solving here, and how do we think about your ability to drive impact, were our big things. But I'm hoping that next year people will stop saying that insurance isn't neat and it's scary, and we can all just get on with, hey, we're solving a really cool infrastructure problem for a lot of the US, and then eventually someone is going to solve it for bigger parts of the world as well.
I think, like any good sales process, you need to have a qualification mechanism or disqualification mechanism. And what Jen is saying is true. Like, we want to work with people that are like really pragmatic problem solvers, curious, like they like learning about market structure, even if they're doing front end programming for landing page optimization. And as long as the trade-off there is that you're going to miss, a lot of people are not going to apply for your jobs if you project that type of culture. But if you're okay with that, then that's the way to get great technologists into insurance. I think InsurTech is a human capital arbitrage. I think that PathPoint is a wholesale brokerage, which is the oldest of the old school type of insurance entities. But because half our DNA is technology and half our DNA is insurance, we can pick the best technologists to hire, and we can pick the best specialty insurance experts to hire. And that is, if you get really like macro on PathPoint, like that's the one thing that makes us different from all the other large wholesalers, is that human capital opportunity. And that's not, lots of other InsurTechs have that opportunity. AgentSync and Vouch both have that in their sectors with compliance software and professional liability insurance. And so I think that, no point other than that, there is a real atomic advantage to being an InsurTech. It's incredibly hard to start from scratch, but you can layer that into recruiting advantages too.
Amazing. And John, final thoughts?
I think really well said by the other panelists here. So market right now is tougher, probably tougher than I've maybe ever seen when it comes to hiring. But the thing I'll add, and just I think adding on to Jen's comments, is it is interesting when we bring in particularly engineers, even some who are on the fence, like, oh, I don't know, I really never thought about insurance. 9 times out of 10, 6 months in, they're ecstatic, they're loving it, and they love the complexity of the problems that they get to solve. So the more we can do, and I don't think we have a silver bulleted Vouch on this, but the more we can do to really articulate that and get that message out, that this is fun, exciting, challenging work with really complex problems, I think that we'll all be better off in the space. Amazing.
And I can just say from personal experience working with many of your teams, the passion, it's clear, even over like video or calls. The passion's there, and the problem solving is there. So it's been a pleasure working with your teams. We're honored to have you guys as guest panelists. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks to all who were able to attend today. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.